What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. And you know what? It's a nice day out today in the city of Philadelphia, and it makes me miss Phillies baseball. And also just knowing from this past weekend being Memorial Day weekend, the official start of the summer season, I miss watching NBC Sports Philadelphia for a Phillies game, or just going out to the ballpark, Citizens Bank Park, watching Bryce Harper hit a couple of dingers, watching Aaron Nola hopefully back to his Cy Young form, and then just the other players on the team, Andrew McCutchen, Scott Kingery, Jay Bruce. It's just JT Realmuto. I miss it. I miss it a lot. And also, it's nice to see that we don't have Gabe Kapler anymore. We finally have an experienced manager behind the bench in Joe Girardi. And it's just, when spring training came to a halt, it was just, could Joe Girardi make the team a lot better? Yes, that's a definite fact. He is going to make this team a lot better. But there are still a lot of question marks surrounding this team, specifically in the pitching department, like the starting rotation. The question mark with Aaron Nola: is it going to be his 2018 Cy Young nominee self? Is it going to be his inconsistent 2019 form, where he was good at some points, he was struggling at other points, he was really good at home, he sucked on the road? Which Aaron Nola are we going to get? And that's the question mark right there. And then you get one of the bigger offseason signings in Zach Wheeler. Is he going to step up and solidify that spot in the second part of the rotation? And then you also got the question mark with him, because everyone knows that in the first half, he usually struggles a lot, but then when you get to the second half of the season, that's where he starts to light up the league. So, is there going to be more consistency with Zach Wheeler, or are we going to see that inconsistent form that a lot of people are really used to? And then you also got the narrative that he's used to the NL East. He didn't travel that far from New York to Philadelphia. It's another big market like New York, and maybe he'll be used to the atmosphere where he can just come in and just be more comfortable than, say, going out to the central part of the country or with the West Coast. Maybe it'll be more sign of familiarity with him because he's familiar with Philadelphia. He's played here a lot with the New York Mets, so maybe it's more comfortable for him, but who knows, because the season hasn't been played yet. And then the third spot of the rotation, that's definitely going to be taken up by Jake Arrieta, so it's really a coin toss with that guy. Is he going to be good one night? Is he going to suck another night or suck most nights? Just hopefully maybe he can be at least solid enough, but that's just a major question mark with Jake Arrieta. His health and what is going to happen when he's on the mound, because sometimes it could be a nightmare. And then with the fourth and fifth spots in the rotation, is it going to be another experiment with the Nick Pivetta, Vince Velasquez, and Zach Eflin show? Like, there's got to be something to solidify the bottom part of the rotation, because I don't know how many more times I can take seeing Nick Pivetta or Vince Velasquez just not reach up to the high expectations that everyone sees them at. With Nick Pivetta, because he has the stuff, but in the years that he's been in Philadelphia, what has he shown the stuff? Maybe like one every 10 starts maybe, and that's very rare to see Nick Pivetta pitch good, and he pisses a lot of people off. And then with Vince Velasquez, it's just a horror show when he's pitching. And then with Zach Eflin, sometimes he's very consistent, sometimes he's very inconsistent. It's just, it's like the opposite with Zach Eflin and Zach Wheeler. Zach Eflin, he's really good in the first half of the season, but when the second half comes along, he sucks. So, it's still a question mark with that bottom part of the rotation. Or do the Phillies front office take a chance with Spencer Howard, one of their top pitching prospects, and maybe throw him into the major leagues? But who knows what would have happened, because Major League Baseball is not at play yet. And also the question mark is Gene Segura going to be playing third base? Are we going to move Scott Kingery to his natural position, because we got DJ Gregorius in the offseason to play shortstop? So with the absence of Cesar Hernandez, where's Gene Segura going to play? Is he going to be playing third base? Is he going to be playing second? Is Scott Kingery still going to be playing the outfield? Is Adam Hazley still going to be on the team? Or with Spencer Howard, does the front office take a chance bringing up their top prospect, Alec Bohm, and put him in third base? So those are some question marks with the Phillies lineup right there that we just don't know what will happen if the season were to go along. And just going back to players like Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper this offseason, I love the guy. I absolutely love Bryce Harper. What he did last year, just coming into Philadelphia and just showing his appreciation for the fans, for the city. He loves playing in Philadelphia, and then just just doing his thing. He goes away. I'm sure he just rubs off all the people that just call him overrated. And Bryce Harper has probably been the most hated player in the league for like the past year, just because everyone thinks he's overrated right now. And I'm not saying he's the best player in baseball, but he's definitely not overrated. Just what he did last year from an offensive standpoint, even though his average was around the 260s and he struck out a lot, he did a lot to provide for this team. He had 30 plus home runs. He had 110 plus RBIs. He did everything he could to provide offensively for this team. And then his biggest knock was his defense. His defense when he was in Washington was not that good going into his free agency year. And then he just completely erased that off the chalkboard with him being incredibly amazing at defense last year. He had 10 plus defensive assists from the outfield assists. So Bryce Harper was just a monster and a beast in the outfield last season. And I was just waiting to see what he could do this year, because he still has 12 more years left in his contract. And if Bryce Harper can produce like he did last year, maybe get that average a little bit up, because I know a lot of people complain about the low average, but that's what the game is these days. A lot of people are hitting dingers all over the place. Strikeouts are higher than they all could be. Average is not as important with, I would guess, the power hitters these days. Even though Bryce Harper I would consider an all-around player, that's just what the league is right now. Lower averages and trying to hit for the exit velocity and get balls out of the ballpark and driving in runs. It's not more as for average as it probably was maybe like a few years ago. But just, I wanted to see Bryce Harper this season so badly, because I just wanted to see how he can improve on last season, because I do expect Bryce Harper to win one MVP award in his time with the Philadelphia Phillies. And it's just, the other question mark was too, would the Phillies eventually collapse going in later into the season? Because we all know with the Gabe Kapler situation, the Phillies would start out red hot. They would be in first place for at least like a month and a half to 2 months. Like in the 2018 season, they were in first place until around like June or July. Then the collapse started to happen. When the Phillies were playing last season, you sensed the collapse starting to happen around mid-May. That's just, I'm not sure if it was just the Gabe Kapler mindset right now, even though his mindset definitely was, okay, we're going to collapse it at this point. It's just Gabe Kapler's style of managing, I don't think that can sustain an entire season. I don't think his message can last with a team the entire season, because look at players last season like Rhys Hoskins. It was just a nightmare watching him at the plate. The man was so lost at the plate, and it was just so difficult to watch him, and I felt bad for the guy. Even though his expectations for him was very high, because he was hitting behind Bryce Harper in the lineup, and he was expected to be that cleanup guy who was going to be the protection for Bryce Harper, and he was going to hit a lot of home runs that season, and it just didn't pan out the way everyone expected it to. So Rhys Hoskins, he's not going to be an elite player in this league, but could he be a good player in this league to where he can get those power numbers back to where maybe he expects them to be? That could be a possibility, but right now with the way that he struggles, it's still unknown right now. And the same thing for other players. Having Andrew McCutchen back in the lineup after his injury last season. Is Adam Hazley, like I said, is he going to be the starting center fielder, or are we going to put Scott Kingery back out in center field? Who's going to be a starting second baseman? Is Gene Segura going to play at third base or second base? Those are still questions left unknown. And the whole contract negotiations with JT Realmuto. Are the Phillies going to give him a contract offer that everyone expects him to get? Or are they going to hold out for a long period of time? We just do not know. And just for this season in general, we don't know what could have happened, because we have no baseball to be played right now. And just going to the topic about the Major League Baseball and the Players Association going back and forth with the salary cuts, just the proposal that was given off by Major League Baseball was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous, because the players, they wanted a prorated salary for the 82-game season, which was rumored to be the amount of games being played in the shortened season. So they wanted a prorated salary, which would basically cut their salaries in half. But what Major League Baseball proposed is just completely ridiculous. You get players that are making 30 plus million, making barely any of that. They're making like around maybe like 7 mil barely anything of that contract. So if you look at this chart right here, this chart showcases that players who are making around league minimum would take less of a pay cut than players who are making around the 30 to 35 mil range. And it's not a knock on players that are making league minimum, but players that are making the higher salaries, the 20 to 35 million dollar range, they deserve that money for a reason, and taking this outrageous pay cut, there's no way in hell they're going to accept that. And this is just Major League Baseball playing a game with the Players Association, telling their star players to F off. We're not going to pay you half salary. We're going to try to save as much money as possible, and we're not going to pay you your entire salary or even half of that. So this chart is just outrageous. So if you're making league minimum, so 563.5K, you're gonna make around 46.5% of that salary. If you're making 1 mil, you'll make 43.4%. 2 mil, you'll make 36.8% of that salary. 5 mil, 32.8%. 10 mil, 29.5%. 15 mil, 27%. 20 mil, 25.75%. 25 mil, 24.2%. 30 mil, 23.2%. And then 35 mil, 22.4%. That is completely outrageous. So if you're making 35 mil, you're going to be making around $7.84 million for that shortened season. That's not what the players proposed at all. If you look at the prorated salaries, a player that is making 35 mil would make half of that, so around $17.7 million. That's basically cutting it way more than half, and it's outrageous. And then you get the comment from Max Scherzer, who is a major emphasis, or major figure in the Players Association, and this was his comment on Twitter after this proposal was released by Major League Baseball. So after discussing the latest developments with the rest of the players, there's no reason to engage with the MLB in any further compensation reductions. We have previously negotiated a pay cut in the version of prorated salaries, and there's no justification to accept a second pay cut based upon the current information the union has received. I'm glad to hear other players voicing the same viewpoint and believe MLB's economic strategy would completely change if all documentation were to become public information. And so, like I said, the Players Association, they wanted, for the shortened season, they wanted prorated salaries. But then there were also situations where players like Blake Snell of the Tampa Bay Rays, he wanted to make his entire salary. He did not want a pay cut. Even though I can understand that argument from Blake Snell, you were going to take a pay cut in some way, shape, or form due to the shortened season. But to take a pay cut of this extent? No way in hell. It's Major League Baseball playing a game with the Players Association, and it's basically just saying, okay, we're just going to wait for you to give in, and just telling you to F off for the time being. Because this is what we believe is the right decision, and you're going to have to accept it in any way, shape, or form. And the Players Association is not going to accept this whatsoever. And there are also talks about the Players Association trying to get more than 82 games being played, which would result in more of a salary being paid for them in the prorated salaries. But still, it's ridiculous to see that Major League Baseball is just taking away the entire salary of a lot of the star players in this league, the Cody Bellingers, the Mike Trouts, the Mookie Betts, the Bryce Harpers of this world. It's just ridiculous to see how much of a pay cut these guys are going to be taking. The guys that go out there and play their asses off every day, and they're barely making their salary. That's ridiculous. But then you also get the argument, but they're still making millions of dollars. What's a little bit of a pay cut going to take? That's a big chunk of their salary being taken out of their contract. That's a ridiculous argument right there. If I'm making $35 million, I don't want to be making $7 million of that. I want to be making at least half of it if there's a season that's cut in half. But it's just that's the way this is right now. It's Major League Baseball playing a game with the Players Association, and basically both sides right now are not meeting in the middle. Even though the Players Association, they want to find some way to meet in the middle. But the way Major League Baseball is going by this, they just want to take away all the money from the players so they can save as much money as possible. And who knows how long these contract negotiations can even extend to, because we were expecting that second version of spring training would start around mid to late June. And with these talks going in further, is there even going to be a chance that Major League Baseball is canceled for the rest of the year, and we'll have to wait until 2021 to see baseball back in action? And that'll be a terrible thing if Major League Baseball gets canceled, because look at the other leagues. You got the NBA, you got the NHL, you got the NFL coming up with plans to come back. With the NFL, they're planning to start their training camps around June, July. The NBA, they're planning to return their season, possibly the playoffs, going back to Walt Disney World around the same time, with the NHL as well. With the NHL, you got around, they're saying probably not till the beginning of August, where they're not going to start the playoffs. They're going to go right into that 2014 playoff format. So if Major League Baseball comes back too late, or if they don't come back at all, they're going to lose a lot of those ratings to the National Basketball Association and the National Hockey League. And at the way the decline of the MLB has been in the past few years in terms of ratings, I'm sure they do not want to cancel the season, because they honestly, in my opinion, they should have been the first league to make some sort of plan to come back. But when you get the NBA and NHL getting your ideas faster than the MLB, the NBA and the NHL are going to take all those ratings away from Major League Baseball. And that sucks to see, because I want to see Phillies baseball back in action, but who knows how long these negotiations are going to go underway. And are we going to get Major League Baseball back? Is there going to be a season where we just don't have a season anymore? It's unknown right now. And who knows how long these discussions are going to take, because the Players Association, they don't want any more pay cuts, and I doubt Major League Baseball wants to pay the players at least half their salary. So who knows how long it's going to take for these two sides to meet somewhere in the middle, because that's the only way you're going to get something done, if you meet in the middle. So what are your thoughts on Major League Baseball and the Players Association going through these negotiations? Do you agree with the side of the Players Association? Do you not care? Do you agree with the side of Major League Baseball? Or do you just want baseball back in general, and you want them to meet somewhere in the middle? So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section. Don't forget to drop a like on this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I'll leave a link in the description down below for the Flyer Up podcast of the podcast I host. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you next time.